Hello! How are you?
That's great. So good to hear.
How are you guys? Welcome to another episode of Money Mondays. My name is Joel. This is my lovely wife, Anna. And today's episode is sponsored by Tums. Tums for your antacid needs. And they're sitting literally right here on this shelf here. And my lovely wife is pregnant, so you never know when you might need a Tums.
Well, yeah, and we're stretching our budget right now and trying to make the most of our money. So we've had pasta for 2 nights in a row.
Oh, yes.
And then we had pizza, one acidic thing after another. So I'm just like, it's happening.
You're like, tum 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 tum.
Speaking of stretching our money.
Yes, speaking of stretching our money. So if you guys tuned in last week, we started a little series on how to cut costs. We talked about getting rid of cable TV. We had cable for a long time, so a lot of money on it. Now we only have the internet and Netflix. So we talked about that. If you didn't watch that video, go take a look at that from last week's video. There'll be a link in the description below. But this week, we want to talk about another topic. So we're looking at ways to cut costs. And food, guys, I don't know if you realize, food is a big time spender for a lot of people. If you look at how much money you spent on food the last year, I am certain you'll be very surprised at how much money you're spending on food. Unless, of course, you're already living on a budget and you already have tightened things up. If you look at your food budget and look at how much you actually spend, that is one big category you can actually start cutting some money out of.
One of those ways, guys, is meal planning. Now, you've heard us talk a lot about meal planning because we're big on it. And you've seen some of our Trader Joe's hauls. You've seen some of our meals. I got a text message from a friend with 4 really small kids. And she said, does it really work? Because this is not working and I'm very stressed out. And I mean, poor thing, she's been around the clock. One of her babies is newer. And so she's just exhausted and she just doesn't have the time to meal plan. But the secret is, it doesn't take that much time. There's not a whole lot of planning that goes into it unless you are like a chef.
Unless you're a chef, which my wife is not, God bless her. But the thing that works for us is that we use a lot of the same meals.
That helps us so much.
It does. I think at one point we had the same menu and we alternated
we were rotating
it, right?
it every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I think
exactly. Every 2 weeks, something like that.
We have a little more variety now, but not very much.
Not very much.
So this works well when you are really trying to like cut costs and save and pay off debt. Those are good reasons to be doing this. Now, basically, our meal plans consist of the same breakfast, the same lunch, and then a variety of dinners and pretty much the same snacks.
Yeah.
I make the menu. I consult everyone in the family and find out what are things that you really don't want to have this week, what are things that you'd like to see on the menu. I listen to all the suggestions and I let the kids know, or Joel know, that's a great suggestion and we'll put it down as an option. It might not happen this week.
Right.
If we can make it happen, we'll make it happen. If it can't, it can't. Caleb really loves macaroni and cheese. Do I want that on the menu every week? No, I don't.
Nah.
So that doesn't always end up on there. But occasionally, like every 2 to 3 weeks, we'll get it on there. I try to sit down the night before or during the day before and do a meal plan. And I sit down and I go through our calendar for the week and see what do we have. Do we have baseball? Do we have any type of birthday dinner that we have to go to for families? Things like that. Or is it just a quiet week at home? I address our calendar first. So that helps give me a good overview of the week. We shop for 1 week at a time, which doesn't overfill our fridge and waste our money. There are times where, because we shop on Thursdays, there are times where Wednesday comes and it's like Mother Hubbard's cupboard and it's a little defeating and it's a little bit of a downer. And sometimes we've even had to make a quick run to the store for like, oops, peanut butter and jelly, we ran out.
Or we ran out, exactly.
Yeah, or we ended up giving the kids toast every morning this week instead of twice this week, and so we ran out of bread for sandwiches or whatever. So it does happen to us. But most of the time we can make it to Thursday, and then by the morning we go shopping early in the morning. That way it's nice and quiet and calm in the grocery store. I don't feel as rushed. We've all just had breakfast, so we're not hungry.
Which is
another budget
buster.
buster.
That's another budget. Talk about that.
Yeah, you can talk about it.
Well, yeah, okay.
About everything.
I can talk about it. Well, one thing you want to make sure you do when you go grocery shopping is, number one is you take a list. And you buy only the things that you have on that list, and then make sure to go on a full stomach. You don't want to go to the shopping on an empty stomach, because everything's going to look good and you're going to just be, oh, I want one of those. Oh, I just want to, don't do that. We've made that mistake plenty of times. Another thing is, Anna was talking about meal planning. We've also done it where we just try to do it the morning of, oh yeah, we just got this, and sometimes it gets crazy and hectic. So make sure to do what she suggests to do, and just do it the day before or the night before, because it's so much more simpler.
And if you find yourself not having a meal plan and maybe checking Facebook, or you're, browsing articles or something, go, oh, I could be jotting down a couple of ideas of what I want to eat today or this week.
Yeah.
So just find a couple of minutes here and there to pick out 7 meals for the week. We usually pick out 5 meals. 2 of them last for 2 days at the very least. Some of them go more, sometimes it's less. We go to Trader Joe's in the morning, and it's nice and calm, and it's harder with the kids. I'm not gonna lie.
Harder.
It's totally harder because I don't just go and grab everything from our list. We try to calculate everything to make sure we're on point with our budget.
We're with the calculator there, absolutely.
Because, there's always a couple things that we forget to actually put on the list, or there's maybe a couple new items that we're using for a new recipe or something like that. So we want to make sure that we're on point with our budget. So we do use a calculator, and I do check off the list. So those are just a couple little ways to help you save. They're not all the ways.
They're not all the
ways.
There's plenty more. Eating at restaurants, guys. Cut out eating at restaurants, okay? Because that's the thing. Look at how much you've been spending, and if you just do like what we've been suggesting, just start meal planning, you're gonna save a lot more money. Like Dave Ramsey jokes, he says the only time you should be in a restaurant is if you're working there, right? Try to stop going to restaurants, guys. Stop eating out and choose to eat at home. So we talked about meal planning, right? And we told you to stop eating in restaurants too, unless you're working there. And the other thing is lunches. People who go to work, if you're working, take your lunch, guys. Take your lunch. How many times do you actually go out to lunch, right? Some of you guys, it could be five days a week, and add it up. Even if it's just $10 a day, that's $50 a week you're spending on going out with your coworkers. Don't do that. Brown bag it, guys. Peanut butter and jelly. That's what I take, or whatever, leftovers.
And it's not easy. It's not comfortable. He gets comments made to him.
I do get made fun of. I get teased.
But it's helped shape him and strengthen him, and
it's done. It's actually created good, fun conversations, and we could talk about what we were doing. Well, during the time, it was like we were getting out of debt and everything, and so people were like, "Oh wow, that's pretty cool. Good for you." They would be like, "Good for you, man. That's good self-control." It's so worth it, guys. It's so worth it. So that takes care of that part of it today for Money Mondays. I did want to sneak in one Money Mondays question that we got last week that stood out, and I'm pretty sure some other people have been in this situation before. At least I know I've heard this call before on the Dave Ramsey Show. So let's just get right at it. So this question comes from Giselle Anderson, and Giselle says, "Hello, Joel and Anna. I have a question for Money Mondays. My husband bought a car 2 years ago, and he pays a lot for it a month. Let's just say it takes a big chunk of his paycheck that we could be saving or using to pay off debt. I have been trying to get him on board with getting out of debt even before he bought the car, and he is just now starting to understand what I'm talking about. We owe $19,000 on the car still. What should we do? Let the car repo and put it on the list of things to pay back, or sell it back to CarMax, or I have no clue what we should do, but we can't continue to lose that chunk of money any longer. Thanks." Oh, wow.
What a great question.
Well, first of all, Giselle, thank you so much for even allowing us to speak on this topic. It is a great question, and here's something that I know would be better in this situation. I would suggest this. Do not sell the car back to CarMax. What I would recommend doing is selling the car to a private seller. I don't know what make or model it is, and since you still owe $19,000, you're probably not going to get $19,000, but go to kellybluebook.com, put in all the information, see how much the car is worth for private seller, okay, for private seller. That'll give you a good starting point to let you know at least what the car is valued at. Then put it on Craigslist. You can put several images, you can put, you know, description of the car, and go that way. Sell it to a private seller. You're not gonna get what you owe on the car, because if you sold it to CarMax, you're more than likely they're gonna give you way less than what the car is worth, and they do what they call a what is it called? Basically, it's a voluntary repossession. That's what you're doing. You're turning the car in. So they're just going to turn that car around and sell it at wholesale, and they're going to still charge you what the difference is. Regardless, you're still going to owe it. So do that. Sell the car for a private seller. Sell it. Get what you can get. Let's say, hypothetical situation, you sell it, you get $10,000, right? Well, then at least what you could do is you can go get a small loan for $9,000, okay? And now you owe $9,000 instead of $19,000, and you work the gazelle intensity to pay that loan off as quick as possible. Because I'd rather have a $9,000 loan than a $19,000 loan and no hope. That at least will give you hope. You'll be on track to start getting out. So that's what I would recommend doing, guys. And if anybody's ever been in this situation, you know, the reason she's asking us, I'm sure, I can only imagine, is because that new car payment, that brand new car payment is a weight on them. They're like chains. And when you have something looming over your head that with that much debt tied to it, it doesn't give you any hope. Yeah. You look at it and you're like, how can I get out of this? How can I ever get out of this? That leads me to just encourage you guys that if you're ever going to purchase a car, purchase used, you know, and then start saving every month after that to upgrade, so that you have a plan to upgrade your car. We will never ever have a car payment in our life. And I know some of you are like, how can they say they never ever? Well,
we've had plenty of opportunities.
We never are going to
we
again.
Just won't.
We won't do it. We
pay cash.
Pay cash. We hate debt that much that we have plans to do that. We're gonna upgrade. There's no reason for us to ever have any kind of debt towards a car in our life.
If you can't pay cash for something, you can't afford it.
Can't afford it. You can't afford it.
It's just simple. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money.
You don't have the money.
Can't afford it.
And this is what Dave Ramsey says. Dave Ramsey has he likes to say on his TV show all the time. He's like, broke people ask how much down, how much a month. Rich people ask how much. And it's not to put a broke and rich people, you know, pit them against each other. What he's trying to make is the example of that. Wealthy people that are winning with their money, ask how much does that cost, and then think,
and can I afford it?
Can I afford it? Exactly.
Basically.
And people who are not winning with their money, or have been caught up into the lies and the myths of you will always need credit, you'll always be in debt, you'll always have a car payment, blah blah blah. They have the mentality of like, oh well, I could totally afford that. It's $250 a month. I could do that. How much down? No problem. They're not looking at it right.
How can I afford it?
Or how can I afford it? Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to explain by using the example of what he was saying. But guys, it was a great question, and we have to thank you, Giselle Anderson, so much for asking a very good question that I'm sure many people have had in the past. Yeah,
and you guys are not alone.
Not alone at all.
Not alone at all. That is one of Dave Ramsey's biggest questions on his shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on his websites and stuff is just, how can I, you know,
the
make
car
more money?
Is eating me up,
he
and how do you
talks about the car
get it out?
Right off.
Right.
So
how much is your car payment? How much is your car payment? Yep.
It's very normal.
It's very normal.
It's very normal. There's millions of other people who have been there, and we hope that this advice can get you out of that a little bit quicker.
And give you that little bit amount of hope. So that's going to wrap up today's Money Mondays. Thank you, as always, for stopping by. You guys are awesome. Be sure to follow us on social media, at Joel D. Catalan, at Anna Catalan for both Instagram and Twitter, and go check us out on Facebook, Live Like No One Else. So if you guys want to hear about any other specific cost-cutting tips, leave it in the comments below. So we'll see you guys next week on another Money Mondays and on the webs throughout the week. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.